Our next committee of the day is the Public Utilities and Green Committee. Those committee members are Freeman, McKittrick, Connor, Mosley, and Holland. We have all committee members present except for Councilwoman Mosley. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to call the committee meeting to order. If we could please have a roll call.
Freeman.
Here.
McKittrick.
Here.
Connor. Here. Mosley. Holland.
Here.
All committee members are present except for Councilwoman Mosley.
Okay, very good. And if I can have a motion to accept the minutes from the previous meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please let it be known by saying aye.
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 Okay, very good. I'm going to self-adjust here. All right, we have, looks like 2 items coming before us today. And the first item is an ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service or his designee, after publicly advertising for bids, to enter into a contract or contracts to eliminate lead, galvanized, and unknown material in the water distribution system throughout the city of Akron, and declaring an emergency. Mr. Lovell, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of committee. We've applied for this loan, sir, to eliminate galvanized services downstream of lead. So for years, we have removed the lead service from the water main in the street up to the lawn strip, and new rules are coming down from the EPA that anything downstream of a lead service other than copper will need to be addressed at some point in the near future. So with this $5 million application that we've applied for, 53% of that $5 million will be principal forgiveness, which means it will not cost us anything, and then 47% of this $5 million, we will get a 0% interest rate for 40 years. What this means is we are going to be able to go in and we have a list of about 7,000 homes throughout the city of Akron, but this is going to eliminate 1,000 of those what we would call private lines to homeowners. It's not going to cost them anything. And we plan to take this money, it's about $3,500 to do a residential home from the lawn strip up into the meter. So we're going to try to break this up in a few small contracts to attract some smaller contracts. For instance, if we do 50 homes and we'll cluster them together, approximately that'll be $175,000. So we will do a couple larger contracts because we don't want to do 25 contracts, but we're going to try to give a shot at some of our smaller contracts, whether they're WBE or MBE or DBE contractors, because they've told us getting bonding on some of these large jobs is very difficult for them. So we feel like 50 or 100 addresses will help them get a start on doing some of these larger projects for us. Like I said, the beautiful thing about this is 53% of this money is principal forgiveness. It will not cost us anything. And then the other is at 0% for the 40 years. So with that, I will take any questions, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Little. I'd like to open it up for any questions that we might have. We'll begin with committee members. And I'd ask any committee members, if you would please, and then I'm on video here, if you could just speak up, and we'd like to hear what you have to say. All right, any other committee members have questions or comments? Okay, thank you. Mr. Little, what would be your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you can see Councilwoman Amobian has her hand raised.
I'm sorry, I did not. Councilwoman Amobian?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to make a comment. I certainly appreciate Mr. Little, doing this. I know we often talk about the small business owners, especially the minority behavior owners, and with him trying to break it up, make it doable, we certainly appreciate this. Thank you, Mr. Little, and thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Amobian.
You're welcome.
All right. Any other questions or comments? I do not see anything now. What was your pleasure, Mr. Little?
Consent is fine, sir.
Okay, very good. So I would be looking for a motion for consent.
Motion for consent.
this item on the consent agenda, please let me know by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, very well. We'll place this item on this consent agenda. Our next item is an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to participate in the Water Resource Restoration Sponsor Program and to enter into a sponsorship agreement for the sponsorship and implementation of the Cuyahoga River Gorge Dam Removal Project, authorizing the Director of Finance to accept and extend funding under the terms and conditions of the sponsorship agreement in furtherance of the project and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of committee. Yes, this $8 million grant that we are receiving, there's two things with this legislation. One, it's going to help us, we are going to manage the site where the Gorge Dam sediment will be placed on Peck Road. So this grant, it will cost us zero, but we will be able to start later this fall, and we have to have that site on Peck Road ready to accept the sediment behind the Gorge Dam pool. We've talked about this Gorge Dam for years and years now, and it really looks like finally it's going to come to fruition, and we're going to get this Gorge Dam down with our partners, Summit Metro Parks, and the U.S. and Ohio EPAs. So there's been a lot of work that went into this. We will probably start later this fall preparing this site. It's around 30 acres down on Peck Road, and then what will happen in March of next year, the U.S. EPA will manage the sediment removal from behind the dam pole, and then they will pump this sediment mixed with a concrete mix to encapsulate that sediment and place it down there on Peck Road. So this 30 acres where they place it, it will be mounded about 40 to 50 feet high, and then they will put topsoil on top of that, and then they'll revegetate it. It will probably take 7 to 10 years before it will be fully restored to a natural state, but this is the safest way to do it. We don't have to have any containment. There's no leachate, there's no runoff encapsulating the sediment, there's no hazardous, according to the U.S. EPA. The other part of this is the sponsorship. As we've done before, we always like to sponsor one of our own programs. So what this will do, by sponsoring this program, we will get a 0.03% reduction in our interest rate on our tunnel, which right now, with the interest rates the way they are, will save about $2.6 million over the life of that loan with the sponsorship. So if you remember a few weeks ago, we had another one of these, and those other projects, those other 6, were not in the city of Akron. They were outside the city of Akron. But with those 2 pieces of legislation, that brings the total savings to the tunnel loan of just over $6 million. So this is actually doing 2 things. To give you a little timeline on the tunnel, they'll start the sediment removal next March of 2024. They're saying 2 construction seasons, which puts it around March of 2026. The dam will start to be removed at that point, and it will take about a year. Now, we did receive a grant for $35 million. That'll be future legislation, but we are going to manage the removal of the dam. That'll be fully funded. One of our local engineering firms is doing the design on that not tunnel, but the dam removal, the concrete structure, and we will imagine that in-house to get that down. And if you go to Summit Metro Parks, they have a beautiful video, Free the Falls. It really shows how this whole process will go on. And then we will have a free-flowing river from Kent all the way to Lake Erie. So it's pretty exciting what this is going to do for that Cuyahoga River. So with that, I would ask one thing, sir, if I could, the timing of this loan, if we could suspend the rules, but I will take any questions.
Okay, very good. We now open it up for questions. Yes, Ms. Holland, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This might be a step or 2 removed from the issue of the loan, but I think it bears on the overall cost and scope of the project, Mr. Luddle. will Ohio EPA or US EPA be monitoring the Peck Road site for seepage and containment over the next many years?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. That'll be part of the agreement. Yes. There'll be monitoring going on, yes.
And do these two agencies provide this service on their nickel, or is this something that we have to pay for?
No, that's something that they will fund. There'll be nothing for us. We are receiving, you know, the local match is our land, so it's not costing us anything to do this.
And a follow-along question on this. I'm not familiar with Peck Road, but I'll make myself familiar. What is its location with respect to schools or residential neighborhoods?
It's really down off of Cauga Street. There's no residential right down there on Peck Road. Years and years ago, there were houses, and it basically was a dump. If you go on that website, you'll see how and this goes back probably 30 years ago. There was junk cars down there, all that along the river. It's all been cleaned up. So basically, the border to the north is the river. The border to the south is basically a giant hillside, and then it goes up to North Hill. And then this is right where our tunnel, on the east end is where our tunnel will start, and then on the west end is Cauga Street. So if you've been to the signal tree, basically the signal tree is going to be nestled between this area and our tunnel. So to be clear, the signal tree will not be interrupted. There'll be no disturbance to it, but there'll be a lot of construction going on in and around that area for the next 5 years.
Very good, and it's as though you read my mind. My children, my whole family, big fans of the signal tree. And as, you know, equipment and personnel and materials head in and out of there, it's been a hope expressed by my family and a number of other residents that maybe some special care can be taken to preserve that, you know, that historic, literal reference point to our Native American forebears. So thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, excellent. Anything additional you'd like to add, Mr. Love?
No, thank you for your consideration, and like I said, if we could suspend the rules, that will help.
Okay, with that, I would look for a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All those in favor of suspension of the rules, please let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
And are there any opposed? Okay, very good. Yeah, this is an exciting project. A lot of us are going to be watching over the next few years, and just freeing up the Cuyahoga River. It's something we've talked about for probably decades, and now to see it happen, it's exciting. And in the mind's eye, we just think a lot of us try to picture what's that going to look like without the dam there. I understand before the dam, it's a beautiful place, so we look forward to seeing this. Hope I live long enough to get to see it. So, all right. I do not believe we have anything else coming before us. So, do I have a motion to close the meeting, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. And we are adjourned at 3 p.m. Thank you.
Our next committee of the day is the Budget and Finance Committee. Those committee members are Freeman, Amobian, Malik, Baylor, and Lombardo. We do have all committee members present whenever you're ready, Mr. Chair.
All right, very good. It is 3 p.m., as Ms. Bignano said, and we will call to order the Budget and Finance Committee meeting. Just have a quick roll call.
Freeman,
Aye.
Amobian,
Aye.
Malik,
Aye.
Baylor,
Aye.
Lombardo.
Aye.
All committee members are present.
Thank you. And then a motion from one of the members, if we could please, to accept the minutes from our previous meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
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 All right, good. We have one item coming before us. This is an ordinance authorizing the purchasing agent to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with Cadenza Innovation for the purchase of networking switches for the water reclamation facility process control system and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is some networking equipment for our WRF facility. I'm going to let Engelbert Galf, who is our IT infrastructure manager, explain what this equipment will do.
Hello there.
Please proceed.
Hi there. My name is Engelbert. Currently, we're in a multifaceted project for the water processing plant, essentially to replace the Emerson DCS project. That includes a fiber ring, various upgrades to server equipment, servers, server rooms. This is a small portion of that. Basically, a lot of these cabinets that are out in the field along the process basically monitors how well the various processors are doing, and it reports back to the servers. And all this is the legislation that we had before you included, the requirements were to have sealed bids. What happened is that we went ahead and we did a request for quote. We received 3 quotes back, and these networking switches are very, very complicated. They're specialized for industrial applications. They're hard to get. So what we did is we, with those quotes coming back, we had our state term pricing, and then we found 2 other alternatives that were actually a lot cheaper than those. And then because of the sealed bid process, we went ahead and created the legislation so that it's for everyone to see. So Cadenza is, they're providing 18 switches, which are again those specific industrial switches for this multi-year project. And we're really looking to get these as soon as possible because the lead times vary so greatly with the electronic equipment and especially the switch gear now. So we'd appreciate your support, and I am happy to entertain any questions that you have on the water process control system or how these switches interact.
Thank you. I will look now to committee members or other council members for any questions that we might have. I do not see any hands. Sarah, help me if I'm missing any one of our members.
I don't see any hands raised here in chambers, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lowe, what would be the pleasure on this piece?
We would like to suspend the rules on this.
Okay, very good. So I'm looking for a motion to suspend the rules and then this evening issue a favorable report.
I'll make that motion to suspend the rules.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Thank you for that. All in favor, please let me know by indicating an affirmative vote of aye.
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 Would there be any in opposition? Let me know by saying nay. Okay, excellent. Thank you. We'll see that gets passed out this evening. And with that, we are adjourned at 3:04. We have nothing else to come before us.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next committee of the day will be the Housing and Neighborhood Assistance Committee, and it will begin at 3:30. Those committee members are Fusco, Holland, Mosley, McKittrick, and Connor. Again, that's the Housing and Neighborhood Assistance Committee, and it will begin at 3:30. Thank you.